Real quick before I do get into this video, guys, we finally did it. We reached 5,000 subscribers. I want to thank all of you for the dedication and support you've really given this channel and stuck with me through the hard times, all of my rants, all of my videos, and really helped this channel grow to what it is becoming today. And hopefully it's going to continue to grow to 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 subscribers. I just can't thank all of you guys enough. And not to mention, the YouTube community for Blitz is also amazing. Meadsy, if you're watching this video, thank you for all the support you have given me. It's really more than I expected to ever receive from any person. As well, Martin, you did a video with me. I just want to thank all of you guys. Fugit, every single YouTuber has been amazing in the Blitz community, and I can't just thank all of you enough to be a part of this channel. So I just really wanted to have this little quick thing here to thank you guys. And yeah, that's it. I just want to say thank you, and I'll get straight into the video. Hello there, World of Tankers. Welcome back to another one of my videos. I am Droodles Blitz, and today I'm going to be talking about the Progetto 46. Now, this is a tank I have been waiting a while to hit Blitz, and it finally has with the price tag of $12,500. And to be honest, that's not a ridiculously expensive price tag, especially for a brand new Tier 8 tank. So in this video, I'm going to be talking about the tank, everything you need to know, and whether or not you should be picking it up by the end of this video. So stay tuned and enjoy the show. Now you may be asking, what makes this tank so special? Why should I pick this vehicle up over any other Tier 8 premium tank? Well, it has a mechanic called auto-reloading, and there's only one other Tier 8 vehicle in the game that currently has this, and that is the Pantera 44. Now, the way this mechanic works, if not all of you are 100% sure on it, as you can see in the screen, I have a clip on this vehicle with 3 shells, just like any other AMX or a Batchat. And the way the clip works, just like any other vehicle, is when you shoot off one shell, it's going to have 2 shells left in the clip. Just like an AMX, where if you shoot off that one shell in the clip, you have 2 left. However, the huge difference is that when you shoot off a shell in that AMX, that's it. You're down that shell until you reload the entire clip. So you're only stuck with 2 shells now in the AMX. The Progetto 46, the really cool thing is you can see I'm sitting still right now, not shooting, and I'm reloading each shell one at a time. So I can shoot off one of my shells, wait 5 seconds, and get that single shell back, gaining back that shell in the clip, giving me a much better damage per minute than if I were running a tank like the Batchat or an AMX, where I'd have to decide, should I reload the whole clip or should I wait and keep these 2 shells? And it can really change the tides of a battle, and that's what makes this tank so special. Now, one of the things a lot of people really don't know about the auto-reloaders is how hard they are to understand. It sounds very simple in context, but really, it's very, very tough to know how to really maximize your damage per minute because it's always situational. If you take a look statistically, the first shell takes 6.34 seconds to reload, the second one is 4.98, and the third one is as well 4.98 seconds. So you may be thinking, well, if I just use my last shell in the clip, like a single shell tank, then I can maximize my damage per minute. I'll be sitting at like 2600, and not to mention, if there's a tank in front of me that I can pen easily, I can unload my whole clip and then use it like a normal shot tank there, and still manage to take them out pretty easily. And while in theory that does make sense, however, the thing you're forgetting about is the time before the next shell is ready, or the interclip reload, which is 2.5 seconds. Now, when you have your last shell loaded in the clip, what happens is you shoot that shell, and there's a 2.5 second grace period before you actually start that 4.98 second reload. So really, you're sitting at like a 7.5 second reload for the first shell, which is really demolishing your damage per minute down to like 1900 in this tank. So it's actually very tough to understand how to run the vehicle. And the smartest way to really run it, in my opinion, is if you have shots on the enemy, just unload your whole clip. However, if you shot off your whole clip and you're currently reloading it, what's going to end up happening is if, you've got the second shell back in the clip and you see an enemy tank you can shoot at, and you know that they're in the open. Now, the smartest thing to do is wait for that third shell to get in the clip, because what's going to happen is not only are you going to stop that third shell from reloading that's currently loading in the gun, once you shoot, it's going to bring you down to your first shell, and you're still going to have to wait that 2.5 seconds to get that first shell back, and then you're going to have to start that whole reloading process again, where if you just wait an extra 3 or 2 seconds, you're going to get all 3 of the shells and be able to shoot them off all in synchronized firing. So it's actually a very tricky tank to run, knowing how to use your damage per minute most effectively. But you'll definitely see me in some scenarios after I've unloaded the clip and I'm currently reloading it, or when I've got one shell left. Should I fire that second shell? Should I fire my first shell? Or should I wait? And you'll see me sometimes where there are tanks in the open, I will wait for that third shell to reload before I do unload the entire clip, or I shoot one shell, because it really does maximize how much damage per minute you can get out, and you're always constantly thinking that when you're running this tank. So that is one thing I really wanted to talk about, because no really YouTubers I've seen have really talked how to maximize your damage per minute in this tank. So I hope that did make sense to you guys. Now, along with this really funky gun, it has some excellent gun handling statistics. Now, the gun penetration itself isn't amazing for the standard ammo. It's only sitting around 180. However, if you do put on calibrated, which I would highly suggest you do, it's going to go up to 189. And pretty much you're going to be able to pen most of the mediums you do go up against at tier 8. Some tier 9s like the E50 you might struggle with, but if you know how to pen your targets, you really shouldn't struggle at all in the Progetto. And heck, if you don't have enough pen with your standard ammo, load the premium. You'll have 272 millimeters with calibrated and 259 without it. So you'll be doing very, very fine in the vehicle. And not to mention its standard shell damage is 240, which is 20 damage higher than the Pantera, which actually does make quite of a difference. You can roll over 300 damage in this tank, where you cannot roll over 300 in the Pantera, only rolling up to like 288. So you can get some very nasty rolls in this tank as well, which can really change the face of certain games where you really might not have been able to output that little bit of extra damage you really needed to. Now, one thing I actually don't like too much on this tank is the HE. It only does 270 damage, and if you think about it, that's only 30 more than the standard ammo. Now, if I'm going up against a tank like an RHM, yeah, sure, that will demolish it still, but really I'm only gaining, an extra 30 damage per shot, so I'm going to do 100 more than the clip. It's definitely not really worth it if you're on a 50-50 whether you're going to pen the enemy target. You might as well just fire your AP, because you're going to do a much better job penetrating them. So that is the first thing on the tank. Next, when I move down the list, I look at the gun handling statistics, and boy are they amazing. The aiming time itself is 1.54 seconds, which is among the best at tier 8. Not to mention the dispersion, while it isn't amazing at 0.317, is by no means bad. And the thing that really sells this tank for me isn't the dispersion, but it's really the aiming time mixed with the dispersion when moving and rotating the turret, because the values are 0.120, which are just through the roof compared to any other vehicle I can really think of. So when I'm running a tank like the Pantera and I'm on the move, the gun just completely blooms out of oblivion, and it's very hard to hit some of your shots accurately when you're on the run. Compared to the Progetto, very easy, very steady gun. You can very nicely aim your shots across the map, penetrate them all, because the aiming time's so quick and that dispersion is great. When turning the turret, it's really going to give you some nice shots indeed. And not to mention, you have 9 degrees of gun depression to work with as well, so it's going to make this tank very, very flexible in almost all situations you do get stuck on. Next up is the speed, and of course the Progetto is a very, very fast medium at that. Just like the Pantera, this tank was 55 kilometers per hour forwards, which is a very healthy top speed, especially for a tier 8 medium tank. And with this vehicle only weighing in at around 35 tons on average, it gives it an amazing effective power-to-weight ratio of 22.03, which means you're very easily going to be able to accelerate up to that top speed and get out of some very tricky situations, or even accelerate yourself into some very tough situations where you do need that speed to get into positions, get the spot you want, spot the enemy tanks. Really, really good in the effective power-to-weight ratio. And not to mention traverse speed, 62.05. That is among one of the best at all the tier 8 vehicles in the game, except for like the Pantera, which is pretty much on par with it. So overall, the statistics, as you can tell, are really, really good going for this tank. But you're probably asking, well, what is the armor like? Well, that is one big weakness. In fact, the armor on this tank is pretty much non-existent. You could shoot at a Sturmill and you would have just as easy of a time penning that as you would shooting at the Progetto, because the Progetto's turret's only about 150 thick, and that's even when shooting at the gun mantlet. So pretty much any tank you go up against in this vehicle will easily pen you, and you have to keep that in mind. Because I've struggled a little bit when I did first pull out this tank a couple months ago when I was super testing it, because I was pushing very aggressive up against certain vehicles. If you're up against like an ISU, it can even sometimes derp an HE3 turret, taking off 1,000 damage. You cannot even afford to like side scrape in this tank. It is literally wafer thin. So don't try and bounce shells, even if you're using your 9 degrees of gun depression. Be smart, be tactical when you run this tank. The games you see me pull out here may look very easy and may seem like they don't involve a lot of skill, but as I was talking about before, there's all these calculations running through my head. Should I unload the whole clip? Should I not? Should I save my damage per minute? What is the best way to maximize it? What are the smartest decisions I have? There's a lot of these things that go through my head as I play the tank, and it is pretty hard to do all these numbers when you are playing it. So if you're not the most skilled player, or even if you're not the most skilled, but if you just don't do well in very lightly armored tanks, this might be not the correct tank choice for you. Now, I'm not saying don't go for it. I personally love it, and if you do like lightly armored vehicles, or even if you like medium tanks, I, to be honest, think this is a great buy for 12,500 gold. I completely love the Pantera. There's really not one bad thing I can say about the tank. I think Wargaming did an excellent job balancing it, and I love playing every single bit of it. But as I said, you're going to do a lot better if you're a much better player in this tank than you will if you're a 40%er, let's say a 50%er. It doesn't even matter about the win rate, but what I'm trying to say is that a player like me will do a lot better if they know all the mechanics and all the little things and trinkets about the tank, which are going to give them an advantage over you running the tank, where you're just going to die getting rushed by an AMX CDC or anything else like that. So I did want to get that out of there, just to say that it's not the easiest tank to run just because it looks super easy in gameplay. And I don't mean this to brag in any way. I'm just trying to make sure that you guys know that you don't want to waste 12,500 gold just, throwing it away like nothing. So that is one thing. But as I said, I love this tank. In fact, it is probably my favorite premium in my garage currently. So if you do like mediums, I would definitely suggest to pick it up. And the fact that Wargaming isn't even selling it in crates really surprised me, because this is a tank that a lot of people want. I've seen over 50 of them on the battlefield within the last 20 games, and that's not even an exaggeration at the slightest. But yeah, that was my entire review on this tank. I hope you guys did enjoy it, and maybe I convinced some of you guys to go for this tank, or maybe some of you to steer away. But other than that, guys, as always, make sure to smash that like button if you did enjoy it. If you didn't, hit that downvote button. Let me know why you didn't like it in the comments down below. And other than that, make sure to subscribe. We did hit 5,000 subscribers, and I'm so thankful to all of you guys in the community that have helped me get there. And continue onward in your Blitz victorious battles. I'll see you in the next one.